Hey guys, SimmersDim here. This video, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking about Tokyo Marui MP7 and more specifically parts that I have in here. Full disclaimer as well, the parts that are in here were sent to me by DDC Industries. There was no exchange of money, it's just parts to go in there to test out for them. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the video. So there are 4 parts in here that I've changed out. The 4 parts are the internal chassis, that is a reinforced one by DDC Industries. We have the trigger bar, the trigger sear, and the backplate. The backplate is about here. The backplate is actually underneath here. So basically the backplate is where the bolt hits every time it goes back. So we're going to go over those parts in here. There's also going to be some links to DDC Industries. They have some really good guides. I'd never taken the MP7 apart before at all, so those guides helped me a lot and it helped me learn a lot about this internally. So we're going to go over the parts now, and the first one we're going to go over is the backplate because it's pretty straightforward. So the backplate is literally as it sounds. So the backplate, as I mentioned earlier, it's this part here which actually sits underneath here. It screws into this part here, so every time the bolt goes backwards it hits that backplate. Now DDC have made a reinforced version of it because if you're, say for example in the States and you're running a HPA and you're running at higher FPS, it just means it can take more of a beating. Not so much the case in the UK as our FPS limits are 350, but it's still going to be good for overseas places that have a higher FPS. Next up we'll go to the 2 parts that are around here. So we have the trigger bar. Trigger bar again is straightforward, it's just a reinforced trigger bar. I don't know personally anyone that's had issues with the trigger bars, but I know I've had 2 KWA MP9s, both of them had, excuse my French, really shite trigger bars that both snapped and they were really hard to get past for. Again, don't know anyone that's had it happen in the TM MP7, but doesn't mean it won't. Just means it's going to be more wear that it'll be able to take. And then the trigger sear as well, we're going to go over that. So the trigger sear is one of the more important ones in my opinion. The reason for this, I've had this issue quite a lot with the MP7. It's one of my only cons that I've had from using the MP7 for about a year now, and I've used this quite a bit. You'll see in my gameplays I've used it quite a bit and I put it through its paces. Basically, when you're out and the bolt locks backwards, like completely when you're out, when there's a magazine in there, when you hit the bolt release, when you put a new mag in, it doesn't actually, there's an issue where it doesn't fully seat. So instead of getting full click, you get a dead man's click. So nothing would happen basically, and then you have to rack the charging handle again and then it will work. But you know, that's got me killed a bunch of times in Airsoft, so that was a big issue. And the DDC Industries reinforced one, since I put that in, I've had 0 issues. So if you have that issue with the MP7, I would really recommend it. It's probably the part I would recommend the most out of all the parts they've sent me. That one, yeah, was a game changer because that was the only con I had with the MP7 before, was that, and it's completely solved it, which is great. And finally, let's go over the internal chassis. So basically when you take the stock off and the back plate off and you take the bolt and the gubbins out, there's a chassis system that basically holds everything in place. That one, I believe, don't quote me on this, it's probably a higher quality pot metal from TM, I would say. That, you know, it was okay, but it adds a lot of weight to the gun. The DDC one side, so when you take the chassis system out, I digress, it comes apart in like 2 halves. The DDC Industries one, the entire chassis weighs the exact same as 1/2 of the Tokyo Marui one. It just basically makes it a lot lighter. Again, had no issues with that. That is, I believe, a pre-production model that I have in here, so it's not going to be the final product, but so far so good. As with all of the parts from DDC Industries, I'm really happy. While I had it apart as well, I just for a disclaimer for future videos, it doesn't have the stock hop rubber anymore. My hop rubber would barely lift 2.5s on full hop, so I put a maple leaf yellow 60 degree in there. So I thought, why not? I had it all taken apart. But yeah, so the MP7 isn't stock anymore. I've just had replacement parts basically, but the only thing that actually affects FPS and hop and stuff like that is the hop rubber. Everything else is just to strengthen it internally, because DDC Industries, their goal is to make the best, most reliable MP7 gas blowback they can. These dudes know what they're doing when it comes to MP7s. They're like solely focused at the moment on delivering the best aftermarket parts you can get for the MP7. So like I said, I'll put links below as well to their guides. They're probably some of the best takedown guides I've seen, especially on the MP7. I was a total noob when it came to this platform. I basically just bought it and ran it for a year. You know, basic stuff like taking the bolt out and cleaning it and things like that, but I'd never fully field stripped this, like taking the trigger out, taking all of the internal gubbins out, and I've now 100% taken this apart a couple of times and know what I'm doing because of those guides, so they will be linked below. That is it. The MP7 is running really well thanks to these parts, and I believe if you have an MP7 and you've had especially that issue with the dead man's trigger, definitely get that part. It was a game changer. But yeah, check them out. Really appreciate them sending me these parts, and yeah, who knows what it will hold in the future. It's just a quick video talking about these parts and why I would recommend them. Like I said, full disclaimer, I'm not being paid to do this. They have sent me the parts, and they're a company that have asked for honest feedback. So if I had parts and they didn't work, I would also tell you guys. They would prefer that to come out. So yeah, I really recommend them. Check them out. The links are below. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if you like this kind of format of video. I'm trying to kind of branch out a little bit with the content I do. I want to do a few more talking pieces. So I've been playing Airsoft for over 20 years, so I feel like I've gained some experience. So let me know if you like this kind of video. Yeah guys, Simmersdim. I'll see you in the next one.